how are you approaching today differently? What are you doing this week, this month, and this year related to the fact that you just said, I'm grateful I have two parents and I know I won't have them forever? I would challenge you, and that's what I do in the book and what I do when I'm speaking to people, is to make some choices today.
So before you had this purpose, what was your purpose?
You don't have a purpose. I don't have a purpose. I have decided that we as a society overplay the purpose. Everyone's dealing with something. Everyone, it's great that it looks like that, I'm living my best life and everything is perfect. I will tell you, I am living my best life and I wake up every day grateful and happy and I find positivity everywhere. But things don't always work out for the best.
Welcome to the Be Better broadcast. Today we are speaking with Mr. Scott White. Scott is known as the life is too short guy. And after spending over a decade in investment banking on Wall Street, Scott took a chance and became an entrepreneur and a business builder. Today, he is the chairman and CEO of a public real estate company. Scott's always looking for his next challenge, and he's completed 1 Ironman triathlon and 15 marathons. Now, Scott is on a mission to make the world happier, one smile at a time. With his endless energy, he motivates and inspires everyone he meets to focus on happiness, gratitude, and positivity. When you take away even just one thing from this conversation with Scott, all that we ask is please share the show with just one other person who could use it as well. We're not going to interrupt you with an ad or a sponsor, and you are the reason that we've grown to over 370 episodes over the 3 years that the Be Better broadcast has been airing. Without further ado, Scott White. It's great to have you on the show, brother. Thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Very nice to be here.
I'd like to kick this off and ask you, as the author of your book, The Life is Too Short Guy, Strategies to Make Every Day the Best Day Ever, what are you going to do today in order to make today the best day ever?
Well, I woke up with the right attitude. I start every day with what I tell people is one of these simple tools. One of the things that the book tries to accomplish and I try to accomplish is to give people really simple tools. This is not a throw out your whole life and start over. This is not an academic philosophy. This is a live your best life with the simplest of things. So what do I mean by that, Brandon? To answer your question, how am I going to make today the very best day? Well, I started with the right attitude. And what I do is I say to people, and I tell people, whether you have real glasses or pretend glasses, when you reach over every morning, I want you to pretend to grab your glasses and put on these glasses. All right. And I'll ask you, Brandon, what was your very first thought when you woke up this morning?
Great question. So I woke up this morning at 6, and really, I think my first thought is I got to get across the room and grab my phone to turn the alarm off. And it's very routine for me. I know exactly what I'm doing next, so I don't necessarily even remember the first thought that I had this morning.
Perfect.
It was automatic.
That is perfect, because that's how I'd say 60-70% of people answer. And you put on what I call the blurry glasses. These are my blurry glasses right now, and they're all right, it's Monday and I'm getting up and let me go shut my alarm and I could probably use some coffee and maybe I have to go to the bathroom, right? It's the blurry glasses of It's just the start of a new day. Unfortunately, some people, and I think more people than admit it, reach over and grab their muddy glasses. They're like, Monday morning, it's dark, it's cold. I don't feel like getting up. What I ask people to do is what I did this morning, literally just a couple of hours ago. I reach over and I proactively and thoughtfully put on my glasses and start it's Monday. It's the start of a new week, a new beginning, a new opportunity. I'm going to be on Brandon's show shortly. Then I have a lunch with a great friend that I haven't seen in a while. My daughter's home from college for a couple more hours and then heading back. I'm in bed next to the woman that I love. And wow, here we are. I am now 8 seconds into the day. And I've proactively put on those clear glasses, thought about what I'm grateful for, what I'm happy about, what I'm thankful for deliberately, right? So I could just wake up and be like, it's Monday. What do I have going on today? Instead, I start the day strong. I started hard. Like Henry Ford said, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're probably right. So why not set the tone for going on that positive path? Now, I realize that life will present curveballs. There'll be twists and turns. And there's someone listening to this right now that's thinking, all right, he put on those glasses and got all rah-rah. He's all excited, stepped out of bed and twisted his ankle. It's possible, right? It's possible. I can't control everything, but what can I control? My attitude, my perspective, the way I approach the day. So how am I going to make today the best day ever? I'm going to start with the right attitude.
Excellent. Start with the right attitude. Okay. So do you literally grab your pair of glasses and put them on physically?
Oh, sometimes I either grab the glasses, or if the glasses aren't necessarily there, I tell people I symbolically, and I do sort of
Okay.
think like this, because it's a deliberate act. It's not a,
Yes.
what did that guy say I got to do? That's not it. The idea is that you get in this habit. It's really funny because I've been doing a number of podcasts, and I actually been speaking across the country, presenting some of these ideas and concepts. And I will tell you, more often than not, when I talk about this, people that are listening or watching will be like, yeah, all right, maybe, I don't know.
Yep.
However, days, weeks, months later, I get texts, calls, emails, notes from people saying, I started proactively doing that, and it changed my whole perspective. Did it change my whole life? Is all of a sudden I went from here to there? No, let's be realistic. What it's doing is it's a very small tool, right? Because think about it, Brandon. How hard is what I just said? Literally, tomorrow morning, you're going to reach over, either grab your real glasses or go
Yeah.
like this and be like, good morning. It's going to be a wonderful day. I'm so excited, whatever, to have a roof over my head, I'm going to have an amazing breakfast. I can't believe I'm going to call so-and-so. I have a wonderful meeting. Whatever it is that you're excited about, it becomes habitual. You don't even have to think about it. It's funny because I sometimes test people, especially when I'm presenting. I'm like, I want you to think about 3 things you're grateful for. And it is amazing to me how often I'll watch people like, I guess I'm grateful for my family, and I'm grateful for, yes, me, what I'm grateful for. And bam, I'm grateful to be in your show. I'm grateful that I wrote this book. I'm grateful that the sun is shining today. I'm grateful that I cycled this morning. I'm grateful that I woke up next to the woman I love. I'm grateful that I could do this for the next 20 minutes if you want.
Yeah. Grateful that you have glasses. Otherwise you couldn't see. Right.
Grateful I could see, grateful I could breathe, grateful I'm in a comfortable bed, grateful I can get out of bed, grateful that I have an opportunity to walk to the bathroom, grateful. I mean, there's so much, and it starts to perpetuate that. So much of what I talk about and the happiness that I'm trying to perpetuate comes from your attitude, comes from your perspective, comes from proactively working on how you think and approach life.
Do you think everyone is wired in that way, or do you believe you're wired differently?
I think everyone is wired differently, but everyone has the opportunity to learn this skill. So there are certain people that are predisposed to be more positive and predisposed to be more negative. And am I going to take that person that is predisposed to be more negative, that maybe in a very significant rut, maybe they're dealing with something really serious, and make them the happiest person in the world? No, let's be realistic. What I'm going to do is give that person tools to have an opportunity to see the world differently, regardless of where they are at their stage of life, and regardless what their predisposed positivity is.
And I love that idea because it's nothing that you have to pay for. You don't have to do anything in front of other people, so other people aren't then judging you and saying, what was that crazy thing that you did with the glasses this morning? Why did you do that? Because generally, if we're not living the best days of our life on a daily basis, we're probably also surrounded. I know this is one of your principles, who you surround yourself with. We're probably also surrounded by other people who either aren't living their best days, or we're surrounded by people who are living their best days. And who those people are will determine in a way, definitely, and whether some people would say a big way or a small way, how our days turn out. Right.
Yeah.
So this is something that isn't public to other people. And if you're currently going through your days like I was when I was 21 years old, and still, I mean, there's days where I wake up and, like you said, I've got the muddy glasses on, right? I do my best not to be that way. But this is something that you can start, right? And if you have no other option, just try it, right? Try it and see what the result is. Try it and see how you feel. Now, this is the thing about you, okay? You, and this is what other people are thinking when they look at you too. Chairman, CEO, you married your high school sweetheart. You've been together for a very long time. You've got a lot of things that a lot of people don't have, right? You've built, and it's because you've built it. It's not because it was handed to you. You built it yourself, okay? So some people might look from the outside in and say, wow, this is much easier for you, Scott. You know, I don't know your life, but you don't have creditors knocking on your door. You don't have, this happened. So this kind of goes along with the wire differently thing. But what do you say to the people who are going through a really tough route right now, and it's so automatic for them to put on the muddy glasses? Is there something else that you'd recommend to people as a strong tool to help them to start from the beginning to curate that new attitude?
Well, sure. The first thing I'd say is read the book, because the book gives you 10 principles to work toward this new attitude, to use the tools to change. The second thing I say is that everyone's dealing with something. Everyone, it's great that it looks like that, I'm living my best life and everything is perfect. I will tell you, I am living my best life, and I wake up every day grateful and happy, and I find positivity everywhere. But things don't always work out for the best. And as if you read the book, some of the stories I tell, I lost my father 17 years ago. So I had to overcome that, learn from that. And that was one of the pivotal moments in my life. I lost my mother 7 years ago. So both of my parents are gone. So you can look at me and be like, oh my God, this guy's living the best, perfect, amazing life. Well, guess what? I've lost both my parents at fairly young ages. I also experienced other traumas in my life and find a way to view the world differently. In fact, I will tell you that 3 days ago, I buried an uncle that I was very, very, very close to. And it was traumatic to me and something that I had to grapple with. And here I am 3 days later, literally 3 days later on your show. He hasn't even been gone a week. And I'm talking about how happy and grateful and positive I am. And it's all about how you view the world. In fact, I'll give you a real example of looking at being at the bottom, or dealing with a negative situation and finding positivity in it. I just mentioned my uncle, and he passed away last week. So this is fresh. I went to the hospital last Sunday to say goodbye and to actually authorize hospice care. I was responsible for his health care, to show you sort of how close I am. And I authorized the hospice care. So I said goodbye to my uncle and authorized hospice care, and then walked out. And you want to think about where somebody is sort of close to their bottom. And as I walked through the lobby, I saw a young couple with a brand new baby. My guess is they just gave birth and they were about to leave. And the message, the thought that came to me is, while someone's life and someone's family is going through a traumatic end of life experience, a few floors below, a few 100 feet away, a new family is born, a new life is created, a new opportunity for some child that is about to begin. I think it was a hard journey in life. And that's what resonated with me as I got in my car. So instead of focusing on and dwelling on the negativity and the trauma, I mean, quite frankly, the trauma that I had just endured minutes before, I thought about the amazing opportunities and possibilities for that young family and child.
That's beautiful, brother. I thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry to hear about your uncle. And loss is one of those things in life. It's inevitable, right? And I'm someone who I've still have both my parents. I haven't faced many significant losses in my life, and I'm grateful for that. And I know that day will come, right? So maybe speaking to me or to anyone else directly who has lost a lot of people, maybe this year, the past years, or a long time ago, and it's still affecting them in a very real way. What would you say to someone? What's a strong meaning that you attach to loss? Do you even look at it as loss? Because you faced this 17 years ago when you lost your father. So how did you look at it then, maybe, and how has it changed today?
Well, it is certainly one of the key elements of this life is too short philosophy for me. So I took away from it, like you just said, I have two parents. I'm grateful for that. And I realize that it won't last forever. What I would challenge you, Brandon, and others listening to the show is, what do you do with that? So how are you approaching today differently? What are you doing this week, this month, and this year related to the fact that you just said, I'm grateful I have two parents and I know I won't have them forever? Has it changed your perspective? Has it changed your behaviors? And if not, I would challenge you, and that's what I do in the book and what I do when I'm speaking to people, is to make some choices today. I mean, today, literally today, about how you view your work, your life, your family, your health, whatever it is. We go through the motions of life and get lost in the daily hubbub. We get lost in the, it's raining out and I wanted to run today, or somebody canceled on me and it's blowing my whole day. Well, wait a second. I have two parents alive, and I just spoke to a guy earlier today who is without his parents. Maybe I give them a call. Maybe I plan some special lunch, dinner, vacation with them. Maybe I go out of my way to reach out to a friend today that I haven't spoken in a while, because I realize what this guy just said is life's too short. And that's really the message that I'm trying to deliver to the world. I'm trying to provide that proverbial kick in the head, that aha moment before each of us has to face it for ourselves. We'll all face it, right? We're all going to face, as I said before, when you asked the question about my life, we all have setbacks. We all have to deal with things that throw curveballs at us, that kick us in the head. Don't wait for that. Make today the day you change your perspective. You go out and live your best life.
I love that. It's one thing to say, I've got both my parents. I know it won't be like that forever. It's another thing to say, because of that, this is what I'm going to do today in order to cherish them or show my gratitude for them or visit them and see them, because that's really the most important thing. And I think one of the biggest blessings of just my life is we had our 10-month-old boy 10 months ago, obviously. And that has brought my parents and I even closer when we were already close, but it's given us more reason to be together, right? So now I get to spend more time with them. But also to what you said about the power of perspective. I have a friend of mine, Vince Nance, who's a professional speaker as well. And he always asks this question to the audience. And I think it goes really well with what you're talking about, where he says to the audience, he says, right now, I want you to think about the worst possible thing that could happen to you in your life. I want you to imagine your phone rings, you pick it up, and you receive the worst news ever. And it's, it puts you down in the dumps to think about that. And a lot of the times, especially people with kids, what's the worst thing that could happen? We won't even say it, but everyone knows, right?
Sure.
And then he says to the audience, he's like, okay, now, how much would you pay in that situation in order to never receive that phone call? How much would you pay in order to reverse whatever that phone call said? And what's the answer? Everyone's like, I'd pay anything. I'd give any amount of money, any amount of time. And then he says, well, how crazy is it that you would give any amount of money, any amount of time in order to have the life that you have right now in this very moment? And the room is quiet. You could hear a pin drop. And the first time I heard him say that, I was like, how interesting is it that just by playing this thought experiment, we can completely change how we feel. We can change our mood to realize that right now we would do anything for this moment if we did receive that call with bad news.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's a great tool. I think that encapsulates and summarizes a lot of what I'm trying to accomplish by getting out and sharing this message.
And why is it that you're sharing this message? You've got a lot of other things going on. Do you have kids, by the way? Are you a father?
I do.
Okay.
I have two daughters that are now both off at college. So I've gone to watch them grow up and now at the next phase of life.
That's beautiful, brother. Congratulations to them. And okay, so my question is, you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on. You're a father, business owner, the whole list. Why write the book? Where did this come from? Why this book? Why you? When did this living the best day ever become important to you in your life as your philosophy?
So the philosophy and the way I live has been around for many years without me even realizing it. One of the things that I'm so proud of and that I hear from a lot of people that either read the book or hear me speak is this is authentic. This is who I am, how I live. It's not research. It's not philosophy. It's not academia. It's not pie in the sky. This is who I am. So the history and how it came about was I've always wanted to write a book, at least for the last decade, maybe even longer. It was on my list. As you said at the intro, I'm always looking for another challenge. I want to continue to better myself, to learn, to grow. And I said someday I'd write a book, and I never really knew what it would be about. I never really had all right, here is what you want to write about. And during COVID, I started working with an executive coach. I think it's really important that we work with mentors and coaches and constantly try to learn. I'm working with a coach by the name of Kevin. And the first call, he interviews me, asks a lot of questions, and has me fill out a bunch of surveys and assessments. And then the second call we get on, he starts it exactly like this. I remember it. He's like, dude, you are Mr. Life is Too Short guy. Everything's rah-rah, positive. Get it done today. Everything is urgent. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I guess that's right. I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, I guess that's right. I mentioned it to my wife, and I'm very lucky. I've been with my wife for a very long time. And she said, oh, maybe that's your book, Mr. Life is Too Short guy, and write about that. And I'm like, what would that be about? That's ridiculous. That makes no sense. Like it didn't click with me. And then, she's really good about planting a seed and then watering it a little bit. And, she circled back a week or two later, what about that Life is Too Short guy book and philosophy and idea? And that was probably, 2021, I think. Mm-hmm. And then I started writing some notes early in the year and just stopped. It never really got traction. Then early in 2022, I'm like, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm going to write this. And I didn't have a plan. It wasn't like, all right, here's your life philosophy. Here's what chapter 1 is. Here's what chapter 2 is. Here's what chapter 3 is. I just started writing, and I started sharing my own principles. I started sharing my own stories. And then I went out and I found other people that had aha moments, that had major setbacks, that had traumas, that dealt with things and what they learned. And I weave that throughout the story to share this philosophy. And when I started writing it, the plan was just write a book. I want to write a book. If you ask me, what do you want to accomplish by the book? What's your goal? I was like, I want to write a book. That's it. And then it went from write a book to a hobby, to a passion project, to where it is today, which is an obsession. And what's happened over the last year and a half or 2 years since the book came out, I have been so inspired and motivated by the reaction that I get when I do these podcasts or I speak to audiences and I get notes afterwards. It has demonstrated to me that I have found my passion in life. I have found what I want to do. And let me give you some examples. I've heard from people over the last couple of months of, I hadn't seen my mom in years. And after I read your book, I bought an airplane ticket and I went and visited her. I always wanted to write a screenplay. I never did that before. I sort of thought about it. And after I heard you speak, I'm going to do it. I've always wanted to join my church choir, but I've been afraid. And one of the things you talk about is take a chance and get it done today. I'm doing that. I got a text from a friend right after the book came out. And he texted me, I'm in line waiting to get my green tea. And I'm literally crying because I started reading your book last night. And I just got through the beginning. And at the very beginning, I talk about when I was 10 years old, my dad had a heart attack. He survived, but he had a heart attack. And this gentleman said to me, I have a 10-year-old son, and it just hit me all of a sudden, the connection to, wow, this could be me. This could be my son dealing with this. And what am I going to do to change that? I could go on and give you so many more examples of people talking more to strangers, people taking more chances, people smiling more. And all of a sudden, I'm realizing that I'm having a meaningful impact on so many lives, some of which I hear from and know, many I'll never know. And for me, that's a life-altering experience.
What's up, Be Better family? It's Brandon Eastman here. And as a thank you for tuning in to the Be Better broadcast, I want to give you a very special gift. For a limited time, you can get a free digital copy of my book titled Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery. This book is packed with insights and actionable steps that will help you to unlock your fullest potential in the 5 key areas of your life. But that's not all. Along with the book, I also want to give you the audiobook version absolutely free. Imagine having the power to transform your life right at your fingertips and in your ears anytime, anywhere. Go grab your copy at bebetterindustries.com/book. You'll also find the link in the episode show notes. Go and grab your copy and join me in making a positive impact on the world. Now back to the show. That's amazing. I was going to ask you like what people have said, and then you immediately went into that, which is great. So I'd like to ask you, it's very clear that you are living your purpose by writing this book and sharing the message and helping other people and hearing their results. I believe personally that purpose is giant. It's a giant attribute to living the best day ever, every single day. And a lot of people are trying to find their purpose. So before you had this purpose, what was your purpose? Was it being a great father? Were you conscious of, I have a purpose, or was it something that was automatic? And what would you say to the person who doesn't know what their purpose or their passion is?
I love that you asked that question. You don't have a purpose. I don't have a purpose. I have decided that we as a society overplay the purpose. And the way you asked the question was just beautiful because it's almost like I gave that question ahead of time, which I assure you I didn't. But I think people spend too much time trying to figure out their massive life purpose. This is what I was put on this earth to do, and I can't find it, and I'm going to keep searching. And stop. We go through, and you use this word, which is just brilliant. You said, how do people find their purpose or passion? It's exactly what you just said. And I reorient people to thinking about their passion. I think passion is one of the 10 principles. You need passions in your life. You need things to inspire and motivate and excite you more than just sort of, oh, I like to play golf. I like to read. Find your passion. Find what motivates you, inspires you, drives you, wakes you up, gets you excited. Things that you want to read about, things that you want to talk about, things that you want to share with others. And your passions change over your life. Some passions last weeks, some passions last years, some passions last a lifetime. And as you sort of asked the question so eloquently, what was your passion before this? Well, I've had many different passions. I'm a huge college sports fan, love college sports. My wife and I both went to Rutgers. We got season tickets. We travel with the team. We've gotten to know a lot of the coaches, some of the players. That's a passion. Raising a family and raising great kids is a passion. It continues to be a passion, but the passion shifts. Right now, all of a sudden, I'm an empty nester, and how do I support my kids in the best possible way and be the best possible husband? This book now is a significant passion for me. This message is an opportunity. Once you get me started, you can't stop me. In fact, I hope we have hours to keep going, because once I get going, I'm passionate. I'm energized. I love talking about it. So I encourage your listeners to think about, what is your passion? Chase your passion. People say to me, how do you figure that out? How do you find it? You know it. You know it. You just have to think about it. You just, what excites you? What motivates you? What inspires you? What do you find yourself looking for more information about? Maybe you got to experiment a little bit. Maybe you're like, I've always kind of been a little interested in ping pong. I don't know. I tried to think of something random off the top of my head. Okay, go. Somebody is passionate about ping pong. How do you explore that? Go join a club, create a plan. So I do a lot of workshops. In one of the workshops I do, or in the workshop I do, I have people fill out this happiness handbook. And one of them is, what are some of the things you've thought about doing, but you haven't done yet? Things that you think you may be interested in and could be exciting to you, but you just don't know. And I have you list off 4 or 5 things. I have everybody think about it. And then I say, all right, I want you to circle 1. Doesn't matter which one. I want you to circle 1, because you're going to go in and be proactive and thoughtful and say, all right, I'm going to circle whatever it is, astronomy. All right, let's change the topic for a second. Now I want you to go to the bottom of the page, and we do this in our happiness workbook, and write 3 things that you could do this week to figure out if astronomy is your passion. Okay, maybe you subscribe to a newsletter, maybe you go to a planetarium, and maybe you look for an online introductory course to astronomy. Boom. Right there, without me thinking at all. This wasn't pre-planned. I came up with 3 action steps that are all pretty reasonable in less than 30 seconds. So if I want to commit to finding a passion, I think astronomy might be part of that passion. I have 3 action items that I'm going to go out today. And tonight, I'm going to go online. I'm going to explore those 3 things I talked about. And it's so vitally important. So probably not the answer you expected in terms of finding your purpose, because I think we overplay purpose, but passion is vitally important.
I love that answer. And you're a very interesting guy, because you say several different things. Yeah, I can see how they go together, but I want to ask you, you talk about urgency, get things done, have a plan, create the plan. But part of me, and I could be completely wrong, part of me would guess that you're not a giant goal setter, or are you?
Oh, I am.
You are a giant goal setter. So even amongst the urgency of the day, getting things done now, you're still a goal setter. What does that look like?
So I talk about it in the book. And when I do my happiness workshop, I give everyone a grid. And on this grid, across the top are timelines. So it's, let's see if I remember this, immediately, this month, this year, and longer term. And everyone defines longer term differently. Longer term could be 3 years or 30 years. That's up to you. So it's immediately or today, this month, this year, and longer term. And then on the left side, I select things that are generally important to me. So personal goals, family goals, physical goals, and work goals. And I'm constantly putting things on that grid so that I have a plan. I think part of our journey in life is exploring and not necessarily having the roadmap to everything. However, and I say this strongly, meandering and wandering can only go so long. And I really think we need a plan, even if it is to meander and wander. So be thoughtful, deliberate, and proactive, and say, all right, I'm not sure what my next career goal is or career move. I'm at an inflection point, but I want to proactively explore entrepreneurship. I'm making this up. Explore entrepreneurship. Maybe I'd be interested in teaching. Maybe I'd be interested in coaching. So there are three kind of, let's put them in the 1-year goals: explore coaching, explore teaching, explore entrepreneurship. Then I bring it back to the kind of this month goals. What do I need to do to accomplish that? And then I bring it back to today. What am I going to do today to advance those goals? I think goals are vitally important. I really do, because it gives you a roadmap to accomplishing what you want to. One of the principles in the book that ties very much to this is called minutes matter. So minutes matter. It's not a recipe for how to be more efficient or how to get more out of a day. It's a recipe for thinking differently about your minutes. And what I say to people is, here's what I want you to do when you think about your minutes. Think about a barrel. Okay, a barrel. And everyone has a different image of a barrel. For me, it's a big wine barrel. For you, it might be a different kind of barrel. And in that barrel are your remaining minutes. I view them as gold coins, because I think my remaining minutes are very precious. And I think this is one of the mistakes that a lot of people make, is they lose sight of the fact that minutes are finite and we only have so many of them, and we waste a lot of them. So what I want you to take away from this image of the barrel with the gold coins in it is, every time I do something, including being here today, I think about, I'm reaching into the barrel and I'm pulling out some of my precious minutes and making a deliberate decision that this is a good use of my minutes. And the two takeaways from this image, this analogy, are: one, you don't know how many gold coins are in that barrel. You have no idea. There could be a few, there could be many. You don't know. None of us knows how many coins are left. And two, which is equally important, we all have a little hole in our barrel. Some have bigger holes, but those coins leak out the bottom. And sometimes we get to the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, and we're like, oh my God, I got a million things to do. I've been running around. I got this list. I cross it off. There's so many things. I can't catch my breath. I don't know where I'm going. Well, stop. Stop and think about, how am I using my minutes? And if you're not using them to advance your passions, to advance your happiness, to advance your gratefulness, to advance your positivity, to live your best life, then pivot and think about how you could use those gold coins better.
Love that analogy. Is the goal to live and make every single day the best day ever, or is the goal happiness? Is happiness a part of this equation?
It absolutely is. And everyone defines it differently. So sometimes people ask me how you define happiness, and I punt on that because I really think everyone defines it differently. The goal, the mission that I'm on, is to make the world happier, one smile at a time. If I can have a small impact, if one person listening to this, and I'm guessing there are thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, I don't know. If one person listening to this smiles for an extra second today, if one person listening to this walks away and performs a random act of kindness, if one person listening to this reflects more deeply and celebrates at the dinner table with his or her spouse, then wow. Think about the ripple effect of that one person impacting one person, impacting one person, impacting one person. So for me, the goal, the passion is to literally add more happiness, positivity, and gratefulness to the world. I am so disheartened, quite frankly, about how we focus so much on negativity, about how we always find the worst, about how we're always afraid, how we always go through life. And I try to avoid that. And look, I get sucked in like everybody else. I'm no better than anyone else. I'm not superhuman. I try to proactively go out of my way to find the gratefulness, the happiness, the positivity. The example I just gave you real time from 3 days ago, or from last week with my uncle, is a real-time prolific example of how I think and how I work and how I approach life. And my goal in doing this is to share this message, is to get people to start to think differently, realizing, and I'm very, very clear about this, this isn't a whole change to your life philosophy. You're not going to listen to this and be like, I'm a new person, because that's not realistic. It's if anyone is sort of selling you on this a whole life change and you have to make all these millions of changes in your life and view the world differently, you're not going to do it. You'll be interested for about 30 seconds. And then after you listen to this, you'll move on back to your old life. But if you could take away one tool, maybe it's the glasses that we talked about. I got many more tools in the book. One tool, and it changes your life, which changes your loved one's life, which changes their friend's life. That's my mission and goal.
It's such an important message too that you're sharing, because we weren't taught these things in school. right? And you know this, I mean, your children just went through school, you saw their curriculum, and happiness and living the best day ever isn't a class. And if it was, people would be like, that can't be a class. You got to learn history, math, right? I didn't learn these things until I was 21, when I started reading some books that really tested the way that I thought, challenged the things that I believed were true. And it made me realize I've been living my life without these principles that are here to help me live a better life. And once I discovered these, it lit the fire under my ass to get out here, start the podcast, start recording videos, be the change that I wanted to see. And here we are 3 years later. I mean, we wouldn't be speaking today we likely wouldn't be speaking if this podcast didn't exist. So it just goes to show, like what you said, and you made me smile today. So there's your one person.
That's awesome.
So,
I got one.
exactly. So I can't imagine how many others are doing the same thing. But it's such an important message. And like you said, it's not just think differently, right? It's using tools in the toolbox, and you're giving people tools that they can choose to use or find the ones that work for them, like the glasses, or like the question that you ask that people write in their happiness journal about goals, all these things. It's very important more now than ever. And for people listening, the name of Scott's book is The Life is Too Short Guy: Strategies to Make Every Day the Best Day Ever. You can find Scott's book on Amazon. And from what I understand, you have an audiobook version of it too.
Yep, we have hardcover, soft cover. It's on Kindle, and you can also listen to it on Audible. And I'm the narrator of the Audible version.
I was just you always answer the next question I'm going to ask, which I love, because you've got a great voice and your energy is amazing too. So I'm going to listen to it just because I like your voice. So I'm going to listen to it for that reason. But guys, to make it easy for you, I've got links in the description to go check out everything that Scott's doing with his website and where you can grab your copy of the book. Scott, where's the best place for people to follow you? Because some people are going to read the book in one sitting. So where can they follow you for after they get through the book?
Yes, the best way really is to go to the website, because at the website you can get all my social media handles. You can learn more about my speaking. I'm out speaking quite a bit right now. And if this sort of message would resonate with your team or your company or your organization, that's what I'm really passionate about. That's what I love to do, is get out and watch people's eyes as I talk about this and realize that at least someone's going to walk out of the room a changed person, someone that'll take away some tools. So go to lifeistooshortguy.com. That's lifeistooshortguy.com. You can sign up for the newsletter, learn about my speaking, check out my social media handles, and hopefully buy into this life is too short guy philosophy, because I really do fundamentally believe I'm on a mission to make the world happier, one smile at a time.
That's amazing. Links are in the description. Go check it out, guys. Scott, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for brightening my day and everyone else listening. And I'm excited to have you back on the show in the future, brother. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
This was a positive and uplifting message, right? I feel like that 35 minutes felt like an hour. I mean, we're both fast talkers, so that attributes to it. But not only did we hear where this philosophy of how to make every day the best day ever, not only did we learn how to do it, we learned where it came from, right? And we learned how Scott uses it today, even with a recent loss in his life, how he chooses to look at things differently and to change the perspective in order to see life in a different and more beautiful way. And you have some tools now that you can use. You've got the glasses, you've got the powerful questions that Scott asked. And if you want the whole laundry list of tools that you can pick and choose from and use and test out, then be sure to go to the description and grab a copy of Scott's book. One more time for those listening, the title is The Life is Too Short Guy: Strategies to Make Every Day the Best Day Ever. I'm going to grab the audiobook version right after we stop this recording and grab the hard copy, whatever one that you fancy, go grab a copy. Thanks so much for watching and listening. If you found any value from this conversation, which I'm sure you did, please share this episode with just one other person who you want to brighten their day. Send it over to them. Thank you for watching and listening. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.